So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to break down Qubitcoin, but we're going to do it through a really unique and powerful lens, the Bain Company 2025 Quantum Report. We'll use this expert guide to really understand Qubitcoin's strategy and see how it stacks up against what one of the world's top firms thinks the future of quantum actually looks like.
If you've been following the quantum space at all, you know there's this constant tension, right? On one hand, you hear these incredible, world-changing promises. On the other, there's a ton of confusion about when any of this will actually be practical. Is it all just hype, or is it really happening?
Well, according to Bain Company, that debate is pretty much over. They're making a bold statement here. The core idea is that quantum computing is no longer a question of if, but of when, and more importantly, how. This quote really frames our whole discussion today. It's optimistic, for sure, but it's also grounded in what's actually possible for industries today.
Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll get a handle on Bain's vision for quantum's future. Then, we'll dive into how Qubitcoin's hybrid model fits right into that. After that, we'll look at the people and the money side of things, we'll be real about the risks involved, and finally, we'll tie it all together to see why Qubitcoin is so focused on the here and now.
First up, quantum's inevitable gradual future. Look, before we can properly judge Qubitcoin's strategy, we have to understand the ruler we're measuring it against, and for that, Bain's roadmap is the perfect tool.
Now, what's so important here is that Bain doesn't see some single quantum leap moment. It's not a light switch. Instead, they map out a gradual evolution. Right now, we're in what they call the NISQ era. That stands for Noisy Intermediate Scale Quantum. From here, we'll move into early pilots, then specific commercial uses, and way down the line, full integration. The main point is that value is going to be built step by step, not all at once.
And boom, this is where Qubitcoin enters the picture. The whole strategy, its entire architecture, is built for right now. It's designed for this current hybrid phase and the early pilot phase that's just on the horizon. It's not trying to skip ahead to the end of the story.
All right, that leads us perfectly into our second point, this whole hybrid idea. Bain is super clear on this. The key to making money and creating value today isn't about having some all-powerful quantum computer, but about a clever mix of quantum and our good old classical computers.
So what on earth is a hybrid system? You know, it's actually a pretty simple idea. Just think of your normal, powerful computer doing most of the work, but when it hits a problem that's just impossibly hard, it hands that specific little piece off to a quantum processor. The quantum chip acts like a specialized coprocessor, solves that one piece, and hands the answer back. They work as a team.
And this is where it all just clicks into place. Bain predicts that the first real value will come from things like hybrid simulation and optimization. And when you look at what's actually running on the Qubitcoin network, well, it's a perfect match. It's not just a vague similarity. It's a direct line-for-line alignment. This shows Qubitcoin isn't just taking a shot in the dark. It's building on the exact model that experts like Bain are forecasting.
Okay, so we've got the tech down, but Bain says, and this is so important, that the technology is only half the battle. The companies that win early on will be the ones who get the people, the partnerships, and the revenue model right, long before we have full-blown quantum supremacy.
And this is where Qubitcoin's resume, it really starts to shine. The founder comes directly from Cura, one of the top hardware companies. They have a Nobel laureate as an advisor. They're already running pilots with real companies. This isn't just theoretical. They have the connections and the talent that Bain says are absolutely critical to success right now.
Now, this right here might be one of the single most important insights from the entire Bain report. You don't have to wait for some perfect, fault-tolerant supercomputer to build a real business. There is money to be made today.
And that's exactly the playground Qubitcoin is built for. The work being done on its network isn't just busy work. It's performing valuable tasks in things like benchmarking and simulation. These are precisely the pre-supremacy services that Bain predicts will be the big moneymakers for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, but let's be real. It can't all be sunshine and roses, right? No analysis would be complete without talking about the risks. Even with a great strategy, Qubitcoin is still playing in a brand new field with some pretty big hurdles to overcome.
And this slide does a great job of laying it all out. On one side, you see how Qubitcoin has been really smart about reducing its own specific risks. For instance, its work can be simulated, so it isn't totally at the mercy of hardware progress. But on the other side, it can't escape the big risks the entire industry shares, like how fast the hardware actually improves and how long it takes big companies to get on board.
So you might be asking, with all those risks, why even bother? Well, the answer's pretty simple. Over $100 billion. That's what Bain sees as the long-term prize. But, and this is a big but, that value isn't going to be spread out evenly, especially not at the beginning.
Bain expects that first wave of value to be super concentrated. I mean, just look at this. A massive 40% is expected to come from molecular simulation alone. Then you've got materials, modeling, and optimization. The value isn't everywhere. It's in a few very specific, very high-impact areas.
And here it is, the big punchline. The entire useful proof-of-work system that powers Qubitcoin is fundamentally designed to tackle problems in precisely these high-value areas that Bain points to. It's not a shotgun approach. It's a laser-focused strategy targeting the most valuable early markets.
So, all of this brings us to our final and, I think, most powerful takeaway. It's all about being designed for the present. Let's wrap this all up into one clear conclusion.
When you just lay it all out like this, the alignment is, well, it's undeniable. The workloads are hybrid, just like Bain said. The revenue model targets early practical tasks. The ecosystem is built around top-tier talent and partners. They're aimed squarely at the most valuable early markets. Even their hardware focus is right there with the leading neutral atom technology. Every single piece of the puzzle fits Bain's model of what an early winner should look like.
And really, it all boils down to this one idea. This isn't a strategy based on some far-off sci-fi future. It's an incredibly pragmatic approach, built to create real value with the technology, the talent, and the market that we have right here, right now.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. In an industry that is so often defined by what might be possible someday, could this intense focus on the quantum present actually be the smartest strategy of all? Is this how we're finally going to see real-world value, not with a giant leap, but one practical, hybrid step at a time?